What's up, everybody? What's going on tonight? Hope everybody's having a good night. Sorry for the starting and stopping of streams. I'm having a little bit of internet issues tonight, so hopefully we'll be able to get through this quickly. It still looks like it's still dropping, so I was gonna try to do this, but I may have to do this offline. So I'm keeping an eye on it. I'm gonna try one more thing and see if that helps. But the speeds tonight have not been good. Let's see. Let's do that. Do that. Wireless settings. Turn Wi-Fi off for now. See if that makes any difference. All right. Let's see if that helps a little bit. We don't get a long show, so we'll try to knock it out and get through it. Hopefully, the frame droppage is lessened. It seems like everything looks better now. So, uh, welcome to Null Sector. I hope everybody's having a good time. We have a little bit of news to get through. I'm like I said, this is going to be a pretty quick episode. I've had a busy couple of days, so yeah. So we're gonna talk about World Cup. We're gonna talk about mid-season madness. Just general thoughts because we're gonna save the big thoughts for next week when we do the full show. I'm also going to actually I probably won't talk about the dev blog too much. We did get our first look at flashpoints. We got some of the PVE lorry bits. Better look at PVE coming, but overall, not too much. I guess flashpoints was kind of the big thing. We finally got to see how that plays and how that comes out. It's basically just control point on 3 points in one map. So, yeah, I mean that's it. So we're gonna take a look at mid-season madness first. So let's take a look at that and see how that goes. If anybody sees any problems with the stream, let me know. In the meantime, I'm trying to keep an eye on it, but I'm gonna be talking and doing all that fun stuff. So we'll keep the music down to the very minimum. We don't need too much going on in the background. All right, so the mid-season madness tournament came and went. It was a whirlwind of basically 2.5 days of staying up late watching these games in Korean time. Atlanta Reign was your champions. Not a huge surprise. They were the heavy favorites going in, and honestly, it ended up coming out pretty much how a lot of us expected it to, with Atlanta on top, Houston second, and Florida Mayhem third. So I have the bracket above me. You can take a look. The big surprise probably was that the APAC teams went out so fast. Hangzhou did pick up the only APAC win of the tournament against Florida, but Florida bounced back amazingly. I mean, they came back. They had a close one against Soul Inferno, but I feel like that was just Florida kind of just not getting to grips with LAN. I don't know. They seemed a little shaky. It was close against the Spark, and then it was close against the Infernal. But once they had their sea legs, I guess they did much better. So yeah, Houston Outlaws looked very good. They just did not look as good as the Atlanta Reign. The backline of the Houston Outlaws is something that everybody talked up. I mean, they've got Shu and Violet, and they were scary. We didn't see Gargoyle, but we did see a lot of Fearless, and Fearless Monkey, did some work as expected. But when he ran up against, his old stomping mates in Fielder and Chio, we got to see what a championship, backline can do for a team. Dong Hack looked almost unkillable. So it was a good tournament overall. Not like I said, not too many surprises. Boston did about as well as expected. They showed up. I don't think they have anything to be upset about. Soul Inferno and Hangzhou Spark are really the only two that were kind of disappointing overall. But I mean, that was it. I mean, Atlanta ended up taking it all, and we'll see where we go from here because we've got a couple of weeks. They're gonna, do the schedule and all that, and I'm sure we're gonna talk about that. But um, right now, West is so far ahead that it isn't even funny. We didn't do power rankings this week because it's other than getting into like the nitty gritty in the middle, you can make arguments for certain teams in certain places in the middle of the pack. We kind of know who the best and worst teams are. Vegas is potentially retrialing all of their roster, so we'll see how that plays. I mean, they got to do something. They are the worst team in the league. So on to that. Moving on, we started World Cup qualifiers today with the Europe and what do they officially dub this? Europe and Middle East Conference. So this was, there were some upsets already. Like there were good games. They're playing on Twitch pretty much every day. So we'll take a look ahead at the next couple of days. But today we'll talk about obviously the heavy favorites. In Group A are United Kingdom and France. Both of them performed pretty much as we expected. Um, Belgium and Italy, they did okay. Finland obviously was one of the few that didn't perform to what we expected. Let's see where Finland in our Group B. So let's stick with Group A for right now. So Group A consists of France, United Kingdom, Spain, Denmark, Portugal, Netherlands, Belgium, and Italy. And like I said, France and United Kingdom are the heavy favorites, and they pretty much showed up. Spain. Let's see who's on Spain. I haven't paid too much attention to Spain. Let's see. Actually, not many people that I've paid attention to recently. So we'll keep an eye on Spain and see how they do. Obviously, Denmark we thought was going to do better. But they haven't played yet, so we'll see what Denmark does. Sorry, I was getting them confused with Belgium. Belgium, we had some decent hope for just because of logics, but it ended up being what it was. So we're not too stressed about it. Honestly, today the standout for me was Saudi Arabia. Saudi Arabia looks good. However, they only play the air comps, so I wonder if that's going to come back to bite them once they play some more seasoned teams. But today, we saw Germany, Norway, Turkey, Saudi Arabia, Finland, Iceland, Poland, and Sweden. In this group, Sweden and Finland were actually the heavy favorites. Just taking a look at those teams, Finland has Sauna, Cloudy, Vistola, Mikji, Oli, and Massa. So we actually saw Mikji and Massa play today. Vistola, I think Cloudy came in for one map, and then Sauna and Cloud on the DPS duo. But Sweden has Kevster and Sparker, which should be a phenomenal DPS lineup. And then we saw Lucius on tank. And, like I said, Sweden and Finland were the heavy favorites, but they ended up both getting dropped today. So let's see. They lost to, where is Group B? Am I just missing it? Yeah, Finland went down to Saudi Arabia. That was the match I was talking about where they lost to the air superiority. And then Sweden actually went down to Norway. So who's on Norway? Onigod. Right, because Onigod was the one that was like popping off on the May. Like he was just headshotting Tracer left and right. So I don't know. Like we'll see how this shapes out. But initial disappointment from Sweden. Psycho actually looked pretty good as well. Isaac was a phenomenal tank. Like he was gapping Lucius. So yeah, we'll see how tomorrow plays. Now I don't think. Let me see. They do play. We do have some more games tomorrow for EU, But we also have, I believe it is tomorrow, starting the North American. Yes. So starting tomorrow, we have the North American group, and I believe that starts in the evening. So obviously, USA and Canada are heavy favorites to make it out of here. We have the USA roster. We do know some people have been moved around, but we're going to be anxious to see the return of Super. I'd imagine we'll probably see Super come in more than Kaluge. Uh, but you never know. With the current meta, Kaluge may be better, but it's hard to overstate the hype for Super returning. Canada has some decent players that we got False and Crimzo that we'll be watching out for. So let's take a look at the upcoming games there. So Group 1, we have Canada versus Team USA. Tomorrow night, that's probably going to be a banger. We're going to want to watch that. That's in the evening on the East Coast and in the afternoon on the West Coast. And then, we have some of the Mexico teams playing, Guatemala, all of them playing. And then we also have Colombia and Peru, as well as Chile and Brazil. So Brazil, I think, normally has a pretty decent roster. Nobody I recognize. In Chile, I don't recognize any of them as well. So we'll have to keep an eye on that. So it looks like, other than Canada and U.S., not even a lot of contenders consideration in these groups. So we'll have to keep an eye on that. But plenty of World Cup matches going on tomorrow. And then finally, of course, we have the Asia Pacific region. So this is the region that we're going to watch. Team Japan is one that I am highly looking out for because they are farming pretty much a whole contenders team together. Obviously, South Korea has what is essentially last year's Dallas Fuel plus Finn plus Lip. So we'll have to see how that plays out. Obviously, these all together should still be fairly dominant, as they are all fairly dominant. Australia has a decent team. Kafa and Punk together is a phenomenal tank lineup. Both of those together should be fine. New Zealand has the return of Color Hex. I don't know if anybody's a Plat Chat enjoyer, but they mentioned this fact on Plat Chat that Color Hex is the first person to win 3 contenders championships on all 3 roles. So Color Hex is popping off. Was in the league for a couple of seasons, got bounced around. Honestly, I don't think he ever got his true chance, but we'll see how things play out there. So coming up tomorrow, let's see, we've got what is that? Philippines versus Japan. So that one should be a banger. Like I said, Japan's going to be a team that I am going to watch. Korea versus Taiwan. Taiwan used to have some good players back in the day. I don't know about their scene now. So we'll have to see how they play out. But obviously, Korea is going to be the super mega heavy favorite. And then in Group B, we have Singapore versus Malaysia, and New Zealand versus Thailand. So starting it off pretty strong. We're not going to see Team Australia till day 2, but honestly, at this point, there should be World Cup matches going on almost 24 hours a day at this point. So you can see that the Singapore Malaysia game, you guys can't actually see it. Not that it matters that much. Boom, there you go. You can see the Singapore and Malaysia game starts in about 2 hours. So honestly, if you want to stay up, it's no different than the Korean games last week. So yeah, I mean, that, like I said, we're doing a super quick show tonight. Just mostly because I'm under the weather, and honestly, Null Sector was supposed to be a quick fill-in show, like a pop-in, 10 to 15 minute, jaunt through the current news, stuff that happens in the middle of the week. Like I said, we saw that. I'm trying to think if there's any big news that I missed. We saw that Vegas was retooling their roster. We did have some more sign ups and pickup, like droppings and pickups. Um, Other than the developer stream, which I initially was kind of excited for, but then it kind of just dragged on a little bit, and we didn't really get a whole lot of new information on there. So yeah, I mean it still looks pretty cool. Honestly, Hero Mastery looks like the thing that I'm going to be most excited for. It's a little sad that they pushed that back, but what are you going to do? I mean, at this point, that's we're used to it as Overwatch fans. So yeah, I mean, normally in between weeks, it's gonna be like this. Like we're gonna do the Null Sector videos, and then we're also probably gonna play some Overwatch. I'm not gonna play any Overwatch tonight, just because, like I said, you can hear it. We basically spent the day out in the rain yesterday for my daughter's 10th birthday at the beach, and the weather did not cooperate, so we were running in between buildings in the rain so she could still do some of the fun beach stuff like the arcade, and we went to some fun restaurants and stuff like that. But other than running out on the beach and getting sandblasted because of the 60-mile-an-hour wind gusts, it was a rough day, and I can feel the pneumonia or whatever I got going on setting in. So I'm sure we're all gonna end up with colds or something just because it was cold and rainy. So yeah, that's where I'm gonna leave it here tonight. So I didn't play the intro video tonight, just because of the whatever the internet problems that we were having, that hopefully seem to have gotten better. It looks like, our drop frames are a lot less now and going down. So we're gonna end it with the video tonight. How about that? How's that sound? We'll end it with the video, and I will bid you adieu and see you next week.